Daily Trust News Center, this is the News Hour.
On News Hour tonight, bandits strike again, killing 4 and injuring 5 others in Kaduna. Security operatives rescue kidnapped priest, 2 others in Anambra State. INEC denies withdrawal from Kano governorship appeal. On the foreign scene, death toll rises from Hamas attack as international community calls for de-escalation. Many thanks for joining us on the News Hour. My name is Abdullahi Ahmed. We start in Kaduna as bandits have invaded Angwar Dandali in Zaria local government area of Kaduna State, killing 4 people and injuring 5 others. Confirming the incident, the village head of the area, Sanusi Yusuf, says the suspected bandits struck on Friday night, shooting sporadically across the community. He explained that the bandits had shot 9 people and abducted 5 before the arrival of security operatives in the area, who later engaged the bandits in a gun duel. Now, Daily Trust gathered that 4 abducted victims were, however, intercepted by members of the vigilante group at Jaji area of Igabi local government area of the state on Saturday morning and have already been reunited with their families. To Bauchi State, where hunters have decried the inadequate support by government as they advocate establishing a special agency that will streamline anti-banditry counter-offensive across Bauchi State. Adamu Imam tells us more.
Activities of kidnapping and armed banditry in Nigeria have become the order of the day, with attacks on female students of tertiary institutions in recent times. State of Kebbi, Zamfara, and recently Katsina have all not been spared as fears and concerns rise. As efforts intensify to curb the menace, Bauchi Hunters Association is lamenting why it calls neglect from government despite their contributions to security. Those on ground need real support from the government. We should be provided with modern weapons to crush bandits, but no government is recognizing our efforts. That notwithstanding, we are still doing our jobs. In all the 20 local government areas in Bauchi, our men are on ground to ensure people sleep with their 2 eyes closed. It is high time the government created a ministry for local security outfit in Nigeria so that the country will be safe for all. He also alleged elitist collusion in the rising insecurity across the country. If Nigerians come together, the better. Those bandits are not up to the population of one state in Nigeria. Collaboration from state to state can make more impact in dealing with the security challenges. Recently, a Nigerian train was attacked between Kaduna and Abuja. It is rather unfortunate. After you hear stories of security agencies promising to launch onslaughts on hideouts of bandits. Some residents say collaboration with hunters and vigilante groups is yielding positive results, hence they should be encouraged by the government at all levels.
But at least government is supposed to provide them good materials that they were supposed to be working with.
Government should try and make the effort and collaboration with these local security agencies like in committee and so on and so forth, so that if women try to call them and sit with them, so that they will know how to help the women to tackle this insurgency in Nigeria.
The hunters who are sure that if given the needed support by the government, armed bandits will be history, challenge the bandits to battle if they had the courage. Adami Imam, Trust TV News, Bauchi.
In Adamawa State, a mentally ill man on rampage has killed 8 people and injured several others at Kate Gamji community in Libo Ward of Shellen local government area of Adamawa State. Witnesses say the knife-wielding unstable man attacked residents on Wednesday night, killing 8 persons and injuring several others. The police spokesperson in Adamawa State, Suleiman Groje, warned families against keeping mentally unstable persons at home instead of health facilities capable of attending to their needs. The police in the state is currently investigating the incident. In other security news, joint security forces in Anambra State have uncovered an insurgents camp at Ogbunka in Orumba South local government area of the state, rescuing 3 kidnapped persons, including a reverend father. In a statement released on Saturday, the police public relations officer in Anambra, DSP Tochukwu Ikenga, said the police led forward operating base comprising of the military and paramilitary services based in Agwata and supported by the Nigerian Rapid Response Squad of the police, arrested 3 suspects in a coordinated operation. He said the security forces recovered 9 vehicles, 3 pump-action guns, stolen camouflage uniforms, Biafra flag, several handsets, flash drives and SIM cards that will aid in a comprehensive investigation and prosecution of the suspects. According to the police spokesperson, the gang has been responsible for the spate of abductions in Orumba, North and South, as well as parts of Agwata local government area of the state in recent times. Staying in the southeast, the proscribed indigenous people of Biafra has expressed its readiness to engage in negotiations with Nigeria's federal government for the peaceful separation of Biafra from Nigeria under the supervision of the United Nations through a referendum. Now, this information was contained in a statement issued on Saturday by the group's spokesperson, Ima Powerful. And in neighboring Imo State, operatives of the Nigerian police have arrested 19 suspects for various crimes ranging from murder, robbery, advanced free fraud, among other offenses. The suspects were paraded at the police headquarters in Owerri while the police was speaking to journalists on efforts to combat crimes across the state. Ajibade Praise tells us more.
The crime that caught the attention of many was the gruesome murder perpetrated by a 72-year-old Akalonu Donald. He was arrested by the operatives of the command for killing his 35-year-old relative named Achileke Akalonu over a minor dispute that many believe should have been settled amicably.
Led to the arrest of Akalonu Donald, male, 72 years of age, who was alleged of killing his 35-year-old relative, Achileke Akalonu, male, of Umuoba in the Owerri North local government area of Imo State on the 1st of September 2023 by stabbing him repeatedly with a knife at the chest over a minor quarrel. The lifeless body of the deceased has since been evacuated and deposited at the morgue.
Another murder crime was that of the 20-year-old Chukwuebuka Ogugu, who gunned down his friend with his late father's hunter gun. He claimed he never shot his friend intentionally, insisting that he was only servicing the gun for the purpose of hunting the night the sad incident occurred.
Ogugu, 20 years, was arrested at the scene of crime by detective of the Command State Criminal Intelligence and Investigation Department for shooting his friend Ifeanyi Chukwu Ogokwe, male, 25 years of age, all of the same address. He accidentally discharged the gun with the discharge pellets hitting his friend that visited him on his head and chest, thus leading to death on the spot.
An advanced fee foster who specializes in promising unsuspecting rich ladies marriage and in turn defraud them was also arrested. Most of them confessed to the crime while blaming the devil for their actions.
He used to disturb me too much. He was coming at me aggressively that day, and I had to defend myself with a knife in my hand. I stabbed him 3 times, but I never knew he would die. My late father used to be a hunter I was only servicing his gun for the purpose of hunting that very night. Accidentally, the gun discharged and hit my friend, and he died on spot. I did not shoot him intentionally.
Other arrested persons include syndicates who specialized in robbery and other hoodlums who engage in violent secessionist activities. Recovered items include double-barrel rifles, 8 locally made pistols, expanded cartridges, stolen but recovered motorcycles, and telephones. The PPRO said all the suspects will be arraigned in court for the law to take its course upon conclusion of investigation. Ajibade Praise, Trust TV News, Owerri.
Now, the National Drug Law Enforcement Agency says it has responded to an inquiry by the Lagos State Police Command on social media allegations bordering on the alleged arrest and detention of the late Afrobeat singer Mohbad in February last year. Now, during a press briefing, or conference rather, on its investigation of the death of Mohbad in Lagos State on Friday, the Police Commissioner of Lagos State says that they are still awaiting reports on the autopsy conducted on the remains of the late singer, as well as an official response from the NDLEA on one of the viral videos containing allegations by the late singer on his experience at the agency's office in October last year. The NDLEA spokesperson Femi Babafemi says the agency's response to the police inquiry on Mohbad's death was sent and received by the police on Thursday, September 28, 2023. A summary of the response to the police described as unsubstantiated allegations on social media that Mohbad was arrested and detained by the NDLEA on the 24th of February and given a substance to drink by officials of the agency last year. Well, the Nasarawa State Police Command has addressed over 30 cases of alleged private part disappearances across the state. Now, Public Relations Officer of the Police Command, Ramhan Nansel, revealed this while speaking to Trust TV in Lafia, the state capital. Abubakar Abdullahi sent in this report as presented from our studio.
In recent days, cases of alleged male genital disappearance became rampant in some part of Nasarawa State, owing to alarm raised by supposed victims of the incident. The incident made the police command to involve strategies to curtail it. Speaking on the issue, the public relations officer of the command, Ramhan Nasel, said the investigations carried out shows the incident were as a result of false alarm raised by the supposed victims.
None of these cases has been proven beyond reasonable doubt to be true. In essence, these cases of mysterious manhood disappearance, they are as a result of fear and false alarm being raised by the supposed victims of manhood disappearance.
According to the PPRO, the cases of the alleged manhood disappearance were recorded in 3 local governments of Lafia, Nasarawa, Egon, and Kefi. He further explained that proper medical investigation to ascertain the genuineness of the allegation and prosecution by the command led to a drastic reduction in the cases of the incident in the state.
We first recorded this incident sometime around June, July, late June and early July. And it went on till around August before it started going down gradually. And this is as a result of measures taken by the command to make sure anyone who raises false alarm are being prosecuted.
He maintained that over 30 cases investigated shows that the incidents are caused by emotional illusion, which makes them to create false alarm of being victims. The command advised the public to avoid raising false alarms and instead report any incident to the nearest police station. A supposed suspect, Abubakar Ibrahim, who was rescued from possible lynching by the police when 2 of them were accused of removing the manhood of 2 people in Shabu village of Lafia local government area, said measures taken by the police was what led to the stoppage of the incident in the area.
I'm quite sure.
They arrested a lot of people like me who were suspected, and along with those who complained. And we converged in his presence when police commissioner were staying along Makodi Road. We went to his presence and he says he wants to see suspects on one side and those who are complaining on the other. Because the man was a very intelligent man, he says among the complainers who knows they were affected by it should tell him so that they will be taken to the hospital for testing and treatment.
Abubakar commended the police for their prompt intervention in rescuing the alleged suspect.
Now, 8 of the 24 persons involved in the boat accident this week in Kasabu community of Agwara local government area of Niger State have been rescued. The boat was conveying passengers to Yauri Fish Market in Kebbi State when it capsized. A statement by the Director of Media and Strategy at the Ministry of Humanitarian Affairs and Disaster Management, Habibu Ushishi, says they were rescued through the combined efforts of divers and boat owners. Now, the ministry stated that they are receiving treatment before being reunited with their family members. The unusual dusty weather condition that engulfed Maiduguri this week, lowering visibility and causing health hazard concerns, also disrupted air travel, leaving many passengers stranded. Now, following an improvement in weather conditions, affected passengers and residents across Maiduguri in the Borno State capital spoke to our correspondent Bitrus Kurusi on the impact of the unusual haze in the capital of the state.
The hazy weather which happened in Maiduguri metropolis last week did not just affect residents and motorists' visibility and ability to navigate around town, but also impacted the health status of some people. The Harmattan-like weather came with some health problems like respiratory issues, conjunctivitis, and some level of unease for asthmatic patients. It didn't also spare flight schedules at the Maiduguri International Airport, as 2 flights were delayed for hours while others were cancelled. Some of the passengers who booked for air trips shared their experience with Trust TV.
When I heard that, initially my first thought was there was going to be a lot of turbulence. The pilot is going to have to maneuver a lot of those cloudy weather, but thankfully our pilot was experienced, and we had like a smooth ride. A slight delay, but it was a smooth one for me.
I'm an asthmatic patient, so for me it's kind of a little bit hard. I don't know about others, but for myself, you have to put some Vaseline on my nose so that to prevent all the dust from affecting me. They just tell us about the condition of the weather, but it doesn't. They told us that it's not affecting us from landing, and there's nothing that will happen. That's it. That we're calm. They just tell us about the degree Celsius of both Maiduguri and Abuja. And then we are here calmly. Everything is just cool. It just came like this. Nobody expected that. We just woke up with the dusty weather, and suddenly the rain just fell. So this is something that happened for once. Since I know myself, I've never seen such kind of thing. So
yeah, the experience was terrible because I have a business meeting to attend here, which it affected my business for that day. Fortunately, they have to even forward the business meeting till this week. That is why even I was able to come today to attend the meeting, because of the bad weather we have passed through. Yes, it affected me seriously. It affected my business.
There is no doubt that the change of weather experienced in some parts of the country is connected to climate change. Many residents pray that while the changes happen, it should not cause discomfort for them. Bitrus Kurusi, Trust TV News, Maiduguri.
Now, the Independent National Electoral Commission on Saturday denied claims of withdrawing from the appeal process of the Kano State Governorship Election Petition Tribunal judgment. On September 20th, the Tribunal Court sacked Governor Abba Kabir Yusuf, who was the new Nigeria People's Party candidate in the March 18 governorship election exercise in the state, declaring the All Progressives Congress candidate Nasiru Gawuna as the winner. However, in a statement by its National Commissioner and Chairman, Information and Voter Education Committee, Sam Olumekun, INEC affirmed the Commission's position after a letter by its state legal officer, which it described as unauthorized. Now, according to the commission, the correspondence has been withdrawn and the officer has been reprimanded. Elsewhere, the presidential candidate of the People's Democratic Party, PDP, Atiku Abubakar, in the 2023 presidential election has filed a fresh evidence at the Supreme Court of Nigeria against the qualifications of President Bola Ahmed Tinubu in the February 25th, 2023 presidential election. Atiku, in the fresh evidence, says he is categorically and authoritatively asserting that the diploma certificate of the Chicago State University is used by Tinubu to secure qualification for participating in the election is fake, having been allegedly forged. In a motion on notice filed by his legal team headed by Chris Uche SAN, Atiku is asking the Supreme Court to invoke its Order 2, Rule 12 of 1985 to admit the fresh evidence of certificate forgery and perjury in support of his pending appeal before the court to substantially deliver justice on the matter. Atiku, in the motion prayed the apex court to grant him leave to produce the additional evidence and for the court to receive the fresh evidence from his counsel. Respondents in the motion are the Independent National Electoral Commission, President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, and the All Progressives Congress, APC, as first to third respondents respectively. Well, you're watching the News Hour on Trust TV. Coming up ahead, we'll tell you the story of how sesame seeds play a key role in Tangale wedding culture. More on this after the break.
This is Trust TV, documenting the Nigerian story.
If you desire to fulfill your Hajj obligation but cannot afford to pay at a go, you need not to worry anymore. Jais Bank PLC, in collaboration with National Hajj Commission of Nigeria, NACAN, and the State Pilgrims Welfare Boards have jointly introduced Hajj Savings Scheme to help you fulfill your wish. Whether you're a caterer, a farmer, a petty trader, or a parent who wishes to start saving for their children and be getting profit at the same time, this scheme is for you. Visit any of the Jais Bank branches or Hajj Commission offices nearest to you to enroll, or go to www.hajsavings.jaisbankplc.com to register. For further information, contact info@jaisbankplc.com or call the number 070-077-30000.
Let's take you on a ride through a series of colors, events, concerts, and lots more. Are you planning an event? EventScope has you covered. Make Trust TV your #1 choice to cover your event. Call 080-3591-0553. EventScope, making your event classic. Follow us on all of our social media platforms at Trust TV News for latest updates on EventScope.
Welcome back to the news, and thank you very much for staying with us. Here's a quick reminder of our top stories at this hour. Bandits kill 4, injure many others in Kaduna. And police in Anambra rescue kidnapped priest and 2 others. Right, let's get back to Kaduna State, where that attack led to the death of 4 persons and 5 others being injured in Zaria local government area of Kaduna. And joining us now via Zoom is Daily Trust reporter in Zaria, Abubakar Bello, is joining us to give us some sort of update to better understand developments around the recent attack in that part of Kaduna. Abubakar Bello, thank you very much for joining us on the news. What can you tell us about the circumstances around this recent attack? I mean, for a lot of people, I reckon in Kaduna, it is one too many attacks. Week in, week out, these developments keep happening. What happened with this recent attack by these bandits?
Well, good evening. Honestly, this recent attack, which happened on Friday night about 10:30 in the night, was attributed to the work of informants, because sources disclose that the bandit has a target in the area. It is one transporter whom they actually came to kidnap, and unfortunately for them, he has left for lesser pilgrimage in Saudi Arabia. And therefore, when they couldn't find him, they abducted his two wives and a sister to one of his wives who was carrying a baby. And in the process, they were able to kill 4 people because it's a very large house. It's an extended family. And at the same time, injured about 5 people that has been hospitalized later on. And the developing story revealed that out of the 5 people hospitalized this morning, 1 of them has passed away, making the death toll to 5 in number right now.
And what can you tell us about any sort of resistance? Because we understand, according to the village head of the area, Sunusi Yusuf, help didn't arrive in time before this calamity befell the community.
Yeah, actually, help did not come in time because, you know, this bandit, when they arrived at the area, they were shooting sporadically on the air. And therefore, people were stampeding back to their houses. Nobody developed the ability or the courage to even contact the security agencies. In fact, there was a police station situated very close to that area, and yet, despite all the calls which came much, much later after the bandit must have started doing most of their things in the area, the security were able to visit the area. But one important thing I would like to stress is the fact that that area has become so volatile. It is just some few meters away from the renowned Wisasa settlement. And this Wisasa settlement has been having series of attacks by bandits in recent time. And even last week, there was a reported case of a kidnap of a lady, a 23-year-old lady who was kidnapped, raped, and then buried in the house of the kidnapper. So that area is so very prominent in terms of this series of attacks. Right. And the people in the area are panicking. They are in terrible condition at the moment, and they are always seeking for help. The one that happened on this Friday is the first time to occur in Anguan Dankali, which is just a few meters away from the Wisasa area. And by extension, it means that the banditry attack is expanding community by community. And the fear is they might encroach into the main city of Zaria, because these areas are at the outskirts of the main city. So that is the fear at the moment of all residents in Zaria here.
Right, and I can't imagine what residents have to live through on a regular basis, wondering what might likely happen morning, afternoon, and night. But on the issue of, a fight against these bandits, we also understand that local hunters within the area were able to rescue 4 persons that were kidnapped and that were being taken away by these bandits. What more can you tell us about these local vigilante groups that apprehended those bandits in the Jaji area?
Yeah, this local bandits, they have this connection between themselves in various locations and communities. So immediately after the attack, the vigilante group here in Zaria started communicating to their colleagues in neighboring communities. And incidentally, the vigilante group of Jaji which is a distance about 30 kilometers away from where the attack happened, were able to chase down the bandit and rescue the 4 people that have been abducted. And incidentally, all the 4 people, the 3 of them are female. 2 of them were the wives of the targeted person of attack. And 1 is a sister to one of the wives. And the sister was carrying a baby, a small baby of 7 to 8 months. So that made the victims 4. But interestingly, at this moment, those abducted women were reunited with their families.
It is quite a very difficult moment in time for most people who have to deal with this new reality of bandits attacking on a regular basis across some of these volatile communities. Abubakar Bello, thank you for the reporting. Thank you for the update. Stay safe. We'll talk to you soon.
Thank you very much. Good night.
Let's move on to some of the day's other news now. The transport operators in Jalingo, the Taraba State capital, are decrying low patronage by travelers at motor parks, which is stifling their income significantly. Now, a cross-section of members of the transport union say they can no longer afford to cater to the needs of their families due to low patronage. The report.
Following the implementation of fuel subsidy removal at the beginning of the present administration of the President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, the prices of everything began to increase day by day, particularly transport fares within the state. According to some commuters, their businesses involve journeying from one place to another, which they said has become too expensive following the rise in fare. They noted that travelers and other stakeholders in the sector no longer embark on their regular journeys, but have resorted to pay drivers to waybill their goods to their various customers in their respective destination. Johanna Samuel, Irati Sadi, and Abubakar Sadiq Muhammad are some of the commuters who interact with Trust TV. They stated that the situation is getting harder with every passing day. Johanna, who is traveling from Jalingo to Zinc local government, said before the removal of fuel subsidy, he paid 500 naira, but he now pays 1,200 naira. While Abubakar Sadiq Muhammad, who is going to Yola for his business transaction, says he goes to Yola almost 3 times a week, but now he can hardly go once in a month.
Before I used to go in a month, they reach like 5 times, even 7 times, but now like this, you don't reach 2 months now, where now 1 time now where I want to.
Even though when we had to say because of the fuel price, the pump price has increased, so that's why the price is so high.
Removal of this subsidy, like really affects a lot of people, not only drivers, a lot of people. Even when it comes to like in terms of food, even food now is high.
Some of the drivers and booking staff stated that there is no profit to sustain their lives and those of their families, as according to them, travelers, especially those living outside the state, prefer to hand their goods over to drivers so that they can deliver it to their customers in their respective locations at a cheaper rate.
Formerly, in a month, we go like 6 or 7 trips. But now we can only go like 2, 3 because of our customers are no more coming because of the increasement of the fuel.
So we want government to do something about it. We want government to look at it, to do something and look at the condition we are into now. Let government have mercy on us.
The manager, A.G. Damfullo, Ibrahim Wakil, said their workers are no longer coming to the office on regular basis like before due to the low patronage they are experiencing now in the park. He stresses the transport fare from Jalingo to Port Harcourt before is 12,000 naira, but now is 18,000 naira, while Lagos, which was 15,000 naira before, is now 28,000 naira. and while Kano is 10,000 naira as against the previous 4,500 naira.
Even motor parts have become too expensive for us. Now that we cannot afford them like it used to be then. Why? Because if you any sector you go to, they will tell you that the increment in fuel, so everything is affecting them too. So now everything has become times two.
Both drivers, travelers, and union executive members called on the federal government to do the needful so as to reduce the hardship on the masses.
Well, vehicles that run on gas are considered to be Nigeria's future in terms of the transportation system. Compressed natural gas, also known as CNG, is relatively a cheaper alternative to petrol and is projected to ease the burden of the transportation costs on Nigerians, especially after the removal of fuel subsidy. Trust TV's Abdurrahman Umar in this report highlights the process of converting a petrol engine car to one that uses compressed natural gas. His report.
In this workshop, vehicles that run on petrol are being converted to run on natural gas known as CNG. Tiveriak Barere is the CNG conversion workshop supervisor here. He takes us through the essential rudiments that converting petrol fuel vehicle to one that runs on natural gas in Nigeria.
Natural gas is different from propane. Natural gas is one of the safest petrol to run on. It's safer than any other petrol, because natural gas is lighter than air. So anytime, when there is a leakage in anywhere that you install natural gas, the natural gas will go into the atmosphere, unlike petrol that, spill around, or diesel. The cylinder that we use, the thickness is more than 10 mm. So it's very safe. If there is even impact in the vehicle, it will not affect it.
Akbarare says over 9,000 vehicles were converted to run on natural gas in Nigeria with zero casualties.
Advise Nigerians to go for natural gas because we have been doing CNG conversion since 2009. We started from Edo. Even the ones that have accidents, they have their natural accidents. We still went there, remove our cylinders, reuse them to tell you how safe the cylinders are and how safe the equipment are. So Nigeria should feel free to use CNG.
For the money involved on how one can convert his vehicle, Akbarare says it is cost effective.
We have different prices for each vehicle. I can say basically between 400,000 you can get your vehicle converted, 400,000 and above.
For many in Nigeria, transportation cost has significantly increased following the removal of fuel subsidy. CNG provides solid alternative means of transportation with less cost to travel. It is not a hidden fact that many Nigerians have lost their lives to gas cylinder explosions.
This CNG cylinder is bulletproof. Bullets cannot even penetrate it. If the vehicle that is using this CNG cylinder had an accident, caught fire, this cylinder will remain the same. This is an empty cylinder, but I cannot lift it on my own. The weight, I cannot lift it.
As big as this cylinder is, not more than 4,000 naira could fill it.
And it can cover 170 kilometers with 4-cylinder engines.
Joel Akote is a commercial car driver in the Abuja metropolis who has for the past 3 months been leveraging compressed natural gas CNG as alternative to fuel. He says if not for CNG, he would have been out of commercial car driving business.
It was very hard for me to cope because sometimes I feel I buy like 20k fuel, and at the end of the day, work morning till evening, I am hardly able to get my fuel money back, talk more of getting a profit. Imagine I buy my gas of 3.5. Just one trip alone can give me my gas money back.
On the other hand, for Mofan Danis, not too long ago converted his petrol vehicle to run on gas. He says Nigerians must ask the right questions, which will determine how safe it is to keep using CNG vehicles.
The way the cylinder is close to where the driver is sitting. So how safety it is. They now told me that yes, it's safe.
Abdulkadir Mbamba is the Group Executive Director Corporate Services of the Nigerian Independent Petroleum Company, NIPCO. He advocates leveraging compressed natural gas CNG conversion on vehicles through government partnership with other oil and gas conglomerates will go a long way to ease transportation costs in the country.
The nation stands to benefit tremendously from it because we'll be able to provide the CNG stations across nooks and crannies of this country.
Though there are those who believe that the coming of CNG could put mechanics out of work, Oseni Suleiman is the national president of the Motor Mechs and Technicians Association of Nigeria, Mompton. He says it is a welcome development.
There will be no bad effect. It is going to affect us for the positive because we have been having some trainings in respect of that before now. Just that the announcement of Mr. President is becoming more official.
The federal government is voting 100 billion naira for the provision of high-capacity CNG buses for mass transit in Nigeria, with a promise to import 55,000 compressed natural gas CNG kits to kickstart an auto gas conversion program. Abdurrahman Umar, Trust TV News, Abuja.
Well, in Borno State, there is a growing public concern on the prevalence of kidney disease across the state, causing many to call on the government to improve access to quality healthcare across the state. Available data shows a steady rise in kidney-related cases in Borno State as families struggle to find affordable healthcare. Olatunji Omiri tells us more.
The state government had on the 23rd March 2022 released the sum of 50 million naira for research on all aspects of disease with a view to developing a plan of actions towards checking its spread. The University of Maiduguri Teaching Hospital and the State Specialist Hospital have been managing to cope with an overwhelming number of patients who comes to undergo dialysis every week. Family of those who lost their loved ones lamented high cost of access to the service, saying many could have survived the disease if they are buoyant enough to undergo transplant aside the weekly dialysis treatment.
We trained our son to be able to earn a living with the hope that he will one day get married and have his own family. But unfortunately, he is no more. I made friends while in the hospital. Some of them have called to tell me they have also lost either a wife, son, or a mother. It is just unfortunate. I am from Maduganari bypass. I was diagnosed in 2017. When I saw the symptoms, I didn't take them serious, but I visited the hospital. Before the symptoms appeared, my legs were swollen. So we came and they said we need to start the dialysis. We suffered a lot. I'm a businessman. We urgently need assistance because by the end of this year, I don't think I can be able to do the dialysis on my own.
Some patients who came to the kidney center at UMTH, where they undergo dialysis twice a week, narrate their experience and challenges.
My name is Abbakaka Babagana. To be frank with you, it is a very difficult experience, especially for someone like me who is an orphan. My father died and it's my mother who has been assisting me, including paying for the dialysis twice every week. Money is our greatest challenge because we spend like 50,000 naira every week.
We have been here for almost 4 months and we have spent nothing less than 10 million naira while waiting for the transplant. We have tried to get a match, but it has not yielded any positive result.
At first, my mother and auntie both died in a space of 5 weeks due to kidney-related issues. The hospital sent us away because they asked us to do the dialysis, but we could not afford it, so they discharged us.
Professor of Nephrology Ibrahim Umate said the center is overwhelmed because of the alarming rate of patients trooping in daily.
Yes, it's true. It's overwhelmed. As I told you, the prevalence rate in Maiduguri is almost 18%, as opposed to 12 to 13% in the entire nation and 10 to 11% in the world prevalence rate. So since we have prevalence rate that is higher than other regions, we have to have this more burden of disease that is coming to the hospital. We see almost 5 to 10 new cases every clinic day, and we do our clinics once a week. And likewise, during admissions rounds in the department, we usually admit in the range of 5 to 7 patients on a daily basis.
Stakeholders express concern over the rise in kidney disease in the state, calling on the state government to expedite actions to ensure that the menace is brought to its knees.
The issue of kidney disease in Borno State has become
very fundamental, such that almost nowadays we experience the case in a very rampant manner.
As I'm talking to you now, even recently, my chairperson women committee died as a result of kidney. Because of the hardship she undergo, we have to complain to the Borno State government.
The residents said it has become necessary for them to question the whereabouts of the report of a research conducted with the grant of 50 million naira released by the Borno State government to the University of Maiduguri Teaching Hospital on the 23rd March last year. They urged the state government to launch an inquiry to find out the stage of the report, if any, and make it public as a way of finding solutions to the menace. Olatunji Omire, Trust TV News, Maiduguri.
Now, norms and values are elements that shape each tribe across Nigeria, providing a unique identity for the people. Now, the culture of Tangale tribe in Gombe State mandates men to give 1.5 bags of sesame seeds as part of the dowry before any marital relationship can be validated in the culture. Trust TV's Ibrahim Ismail met with a couple who shared their experience following this tradition.
Sesame is an important commodity in Tangale tribe. Hence, young men who intend to marry must present at least a bag of it as part of the dowry, which includes 2 goats and chickens. 35-year-old Ali Kadri married in 2011. He recalls cultivating sesame, which he proudly presented to his love.
I farmed the sesame for myself. That's why I told you that if you did not farm the sesame for you, having the farm and you didn't farm it for yourself, you didn't show that you are ready to get married. I farmed the sesame for myself in the village. I get 1.5 bags. We have granted it all.
Yadda na ji lokacin da aka kawo mun riɗin aure na yi farin ciki sosai.
I was excited when my husband presented sesame for our wedding. I was very happy among my friends because I will get my own home.
Sauran yan uwana yan mata da muke tare da su.
According to the Tangale marital tradition, presenting sesame is mandatory before contraction of any marriage. And most importantly, the culture gives special status to young men who cultivate the crops on their farm than those who buy the commodity in the market.
Wow. Let me say I feel proud as a young man because I cultivated the sesame seed myself and I'm going to present it to the woman of my choice. It's something to be proud of, actually. And the farming actually is not easy. To farm a sesame and get a bag, it's not a lazy man something.
It is one of the forum that the whole family members come together. Remember, they are not only going to eat the benefit, they are going to eat the meat that goat is going to produce. Because the meat is going to be cooked and the benefit is going to be fried and grinded. So they will come together, By the time the lady is, making some nonsense, the first thing you will ask her, remember my benefit. Tonight the read remember my benefit. So it sounds very high.
The inclusion of sesame as part of the dowry in Tangale community makes the seed more valuable in the market, with 100 kg bag of the crop selling for above 100,000 naira. We sell a lot of sesame, especially in the Ember month, because of the wedding rituals that normally take place in December. But no matter how expensive the price of sesame is, the seed remains part of the dowry of Tangale people, which they pledge to uphold. Ibrahim Ismail, Trust TV News, Gombe.
As they always say, to each his own. Now, let's bring you up to speed with the latest in business. And for that, here's Chiamaka Nwafor for the latest.
The federal government has announced the indefinite suspension of the NPower program. Betta Edu, the Minister of Humanitarian Affairs and Poverty Alleviation, disclosed that the decision was prompted by irregularities within the scheme, highlighting that the government has initiated an investigation into fund usage since the program's inception. The minister asserted that certain recipients are absent from the designated work locations while still anticipating their monthly allowances. According to her, some of the beneficiaries ought to have exited the program in 2022, but are still on the payroll. NPower program was launched by President Muhammadu Buhari-led administration in 2016 to address the issue of youth unemployment and help increase social development. Finally, the market opened for 4 trading days this week as the federal government of Nigeria declared Monday, October 2nd, 2023 as public holiday to commemorate the Independence Day celebration. A total turnover of 2.41 billion shares worth 22.115 billion naira in 27,965 deals was traded this week by investors on the floor of the exchange. Financial services industry led the activity chart, followed by the healthcare industry in second place, while in third place was the oil and gas industry. Trading in the top 3 equities, namely Limet International Pharmaceutical PLC, Universal Insurance PLC, and Fidelity Bank PLC, measured by volume, accounted for 1.213 billion shares worth 2.322 billion naira in 1,095 deals. The NGX All-Share Index and market capitalization appreciated by 0.11% and 0.49% to close the week at 66,454.57 basis points and 36.510 trillion naira respectively. 40 equities appreciated in price during the week. 36 depreciated in price, while 79 equities remained unchanged. And that's it on Business News. I am Chiamaka Nwafo.
Let's take a look at developments on the international scene. Palestinian militant group Hamas launched the biggest attack on Israel in years on Saturday, killing at least 150 people and claiming it had taken dozens of hostages in a surprise assault combining gunmen crossing into Israel and a barrage of rockets fired from Gaza. Israel says the Iran-backed group had declared war as its army has confirmed fighting with militants in several Israeli towns and military bases near Gaza, with Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu vowing to retaliate. Israel's N12 News reported that at least 150 plus Israelis have been killed so far. A Reuters photographer says he saw multiple bodies laying in the streets of the southern town of Sderot. Now, the Israeli Prime Minister, or rather military, said it had responded with airstrikes into Gaza, where witnesses reported hearing heavy explosions and multiple persons have died, alongside many others being wounded and carried into hospitals. The Israeli military said naval forces killed dozens of Palestinian militants trying to infiltrate Israel by sea. Well, a little earlier, I spoke to Israeli ambassador to Nigeria, Ambassador Michael Freeman, for his thoughts on the development in Israel.
Well, you know, it's very difficult to predict when a bunch of terrorists decide to cross the border and to kill over 100 unarmed civilians, to massacre women and children. And, you know, it's one of the questions we will certainly be asking is why we didn't see this coming. But the question is what we're going to do now in order to safeguard our population. Unfortunately, the news is now that over 150 Israelis were murdered today by Hamas terrorists, unarmed men, women and children, who Hamas came in and killed them purely because they were Israeli. But we are in a situation of war. Hamas this morning opened war against Israel. How would any country react? They fired 3,000 rockets and are continuing to fire rockets on civilian populations. You know, my father-in-law is 87 years old, and since 5 o'clock this morning has been locked in his bomb shelter because of the rockets coming across and because of worry that there will be terrorists that will come into his house and murder him simply because he's an Israeli. And so Hamas opened this war, and we will do everything we need to in order to return peace and to stop these Hamas terror attacks, and in order to make sure that Hamas never have the capability to do this again. Hundreds of civilians have been murdered in their houses. These Hamas death squads walked through the streets and shot men, women, and children wherever they could, and they have kidnapped dozens of other civilians and taken them back to Gaza, where they are being held, women, children, and others. Well, firstly, Hamas are responsible for those people that they've taken. But you're right, it makes it much more difficult. You know, we've seen horrific pictures and rumors of young children of age 3 and 4 being taken by Hamas, of elderly people in their 70s and 80s being taken by Hamas into Gaza. And you're right, it makes it much more difficult, and we will do everything in order to bring those people back, to bring them safely back to their families, and to make sure that Hamas pays a very, very severe price for this unprovoked terror attack on Israel, which is the opening of a war. But make no mistake, Iran is behind all of this. Iran is sponsoring Hamas, Iran is pushing Hamas, and this is an Iranian move in the area, because the last thing they want is the Abraham Accords, and the last thing where they want is normalization and for us to have a peaceful Middle East. Hamas is determined to stop a peaceful Middle East. Hamas is determined to do everything they can in order to stop that, and Iran is backing them. So I would sincerely hope that this doesn't stop any normalization, and certainly we would hope to see more peace in the region. It is Iran and it is Hamas that are doing everything they can to stop it, and that's why they've launched this unprovoked war on Israel. Well, remember, Israel left Gaza in 2005. Gaza is not occupied in any way whatsoever. There's not a single Israeli soldier in Gaza. There's not a single Israeli civilian in Gaza. There hasn't been since 2005. And Hamas had the option then to either turn Gaza into a profitable area. They chose they want to turn it into a terror base and a terror camp. And no matter what you say, and no matter how you say it, there is no justification, no matter what excuses you give. There can never be a justification for walking down the street and murdering women and children, to knock on the door of somebody's house and shoot them dead. That's what Hamas death squads have been doing today in towns and villages throughout Israel. And that has got nothing to do with anything else. That is pure hate, that is pure evil, and that is pure terrorism that must be condemned by every right-minded person. And there can be no justification for that. And this ends when we do what we need to do to stop Hamas from carrying out their terror attacks. Hamas opened a war with us this morning, and we will do what we need to do in order to protect our civilians and to defeat Hamas, and to make them realize that this is not acceptable and they cannot do what they're doing. You know, you're right. This is not about the Palestinians. This is about Hamas. This is about radical terrorism. And that's what we're talking about here. We are not talking about the Palestinians. We're talking about Hamas, and we're talking about Iran, and we're talking about them launching an unprovoked war on Israel.
Well, that was the Israeli ambassador to Nigeria, Michael Freeman, speaking to me earlier on the development regarding the attack by Hamas on Israel, as well as the counteroffensive by Israel in different parts of Palestine. Well, this is where we anchor the news bulletin for this hour. Thank you most kindly for joining us. We do appreciate you for your time and company. Feel free, as always, to follow us across our social media platforms for more content. And you can visit trusttv.com for the latest news. My name is Abdullahi Ahmed. Thank you for watching, and good night.
From the Daily Trust News Center, this is the News Hour.